Welcome, friends. I'm Black Flag Civilian, and there's no such thing as a waterproof and breathable jacket. Today, we're talking about how to stay warm, dry, and alive in the cold. Whether you're prepping for community defense, disaster relief, or stopping jackbooted thugs from taking Abuelita, staying warm and dry in your tactical loadout is an essential skill for any prepared civilian. Now, my approach is basically a stripped-down, no-nonsense version of the military's extreme cold weather clothing system, mixed with some wisdom from lightweight backpackers who've been fine-tuning this stuff for the last 50 years. I'll be talking about specific gear that I like, but I'm not here to sell you on any brand. My goal is to help you understand what to look for in each layer so you can build a system that works for you in your region. Before we go any further, let's tackle the big question. Why bother with layering? Why not just throw on a big old ski jacket and call it a day? Well, those bulky coats are fine if you're just standing around. But the second you start moving with your kit, that coat becomes a furnace and you are going to sweat. And in the cold, sweat is your enemy. A good layering system lets you adjust for both the weather and your level of activity, which goes a long way in stopping you from turning into an icicle. In this video, I'm going to break down my simple 4-layer approach to cold weather clothing. For each layer, I'll give you a preferred option, and then also an affordable option for anyone working with a limited budget. Then we'll talk about camouflage, night vision, and thermal. After that, I'll go over the price range for putting together a solid system and reveal the single best place in the US to get cold weather gear without going into credit card debt. This one's going to be thorough, so grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get to it. All right, let's talk layers. 4 of them for your upper body: base layer, active insulation, passive insulation, and shell layer. We'll go from the inside out, starting with what's right against your skin. First up, your base layer. Sweat is your enemy in the cold, period. That's why the most important feature of a base layer is moisture wicking fabric. That's something that pulls sweat away from your skin so it can evaporate instead of freezing you out. And if we're talking cold weather base layers, there is nothing better than the famous USGI waffle top. It's made of grid fleece, which traps warmth while still letting sweat escape. This fabric is similar to those fancy melanzana hoodies that backpackers love, except the waffle top has been keeping soldiers and civilians warm long before that trend came along. I like to wear mine by itself when I'm moving fast, since it's warm but it still breathes well. The quarter zip is key. It lets you dump heat without taking off your backpack and chest rig to delayer. But if you're someone who overheats real easy, you might want to go for something a bit lighter as a base layer. A moisture-wicking polyester t-shirt or a battle shirt with some kind of light, breathable fabric over your core will do well for you. Now, if you want to save a little coin, you can pick up any cold weather base layer from a big box store or online. Just stick to earth tones. Next up, the active insulation layer. This is an insulated layer that you can wear while you're moving, so it's got to strike the right balance. It should trap heat, but still breathe well enough that you don't turn into a walking sauna while you hike uphill. And for that, there's one clear winner: fleece. Fleece has been popular for decades, and for good reason. It's warm, super breathable, and cheap. You'll see fleece labeled by weight. 100 weight is lightest and best for high output movement. 300 weight is thick, warm, and heavy. 200 weight sits right in the middle. Since I heat up quick when I'm moving, I stick with a lightweight fleece. The one I've got here is actually from Russia's cold weather system. Not because it's better, just because I like the camo pattern. For a more affordable option, don't let anyone tell you that you need to drop $100+ on Patagonia or Arc'teryx gear. A $20 or $30 off-brand fleece from a big box store or online will work just as well as the expensive option. Just stick to earth tones and call it a day. Your third upper body layer is passive insulation. This is what you throw on when you stop moving. Breathability? Not a priority anymore. Now it's all about raw warmth and packability. Your passive insulation needs to keep you comfortable in the coldest temperatures you'll face, whether you're rucking, on patrol, or just posted up for a while. But it shouldn't eat up half the space in your backpack either. For pure warmth to weight efficiency, nothing beats down insulation. No high-tech lab-made material has ever outperformed good old-fashioned goose or duck down. It's light, warm, and compresses down to almost nothing, but there is a catch. Down is garbage in wet environments. Even a little rain can wreck its insulating ability. And since down is loose fill, most jackets have warm spots and cold spots, which is not ideal. That's why I and a lot of other folks prefer synthetic insulation. Yeah, it's heavier and it doesn't pack down as small, but it has more even warmth, and it handles moisture much better than down. It's not waterproof, but it will still keep you warmer if things get damp. Now, you could drop $800+ on a high-end insulated combat jacket, but you can also get something 80% as good for 20% the price. I have this Snugpak synthetic insulated jacket. I grabbed mine off of eBay for about $150. I love it, but you don't need this exact jacket. Any good military surplus store will have plenty of solid insulated jackets in camo or in earth tones for around the same price. Budget option? Get an off-brand puffy jacket. Just make sure it's matte, not shiny. If you take your time, you can find one for $20 to $40 that will do the job. And yes, I sound like a broken record, but stick to earth tones. All right, last up, the shell layer. This one does two jobs. The obvious one, keeping you dry from the rain and snow. It's your barrier between the elements and everything else you're wearing. But the less obvious job is just as important, trapping body heat inside your layering system. A good shell creates a sort of soft vapor barrier that helps lock in the warmth while keeping the cold air out. Most people turn to waterproof breathable jackets for this, but here's the truth. There's no such thing. Waterproofing and breathability exist on a sliding scale. The more waterproof something is, the less breathable it becomes. The more breathable it is, the faster water soaks through. You cannot have it all. So despite the shortcomings, we use waterproof, breathable jackets anyway. They'll keep most of the water out, at least long enough for you to find shelter, but since they're mostly waterproof, they also trap sweat inside. So what's the fix? Ventilation. Your shell needs pit zips, side zips. The more zips, the better. You want to dump heat without taking off layers. Now, shell layers can get expensive, just like insulation layers. Personally, I don't bother with the pricey stuff. I got this French surplus jacket for about $60. It matches the fleece below it, and aside from this anime collar, the design works well for me. And here's a curveball. This doesn't help with trapping heat, but for protection from the elements, I actually prefer ponchos over so-called waterproof breathable jackets. But that's a whole different topic. Ponchos work better in warm or moderate weather, and they tend to struggle if you're bushwhacking through heavy vegetation. So they are not for every mission. And that's it for your upper body layering. Your cold weather lower body layering is very similar, with just a few differences. All right, now let's talk lower body layers. They're a little bit different from the upper body setup, but the concept is the same. You've got 4 layers: base layer, insulation, pants, and shell. Just as before, we're starting from the inside and working our way out. Everything I said about upper body base layers still applies here. You want warm, moisture-wicking bottoms to keep sweat off your skin. And lucky for you, waffle fleece supremacy reigns once again. You can grab waffle bottoms made out of the same grid fleece material as the waffle top for a thoroughly whelming price of around $40. Sure, there are fancier options out there, but do you actually need them? Not really. One quick tip, don't assume that your top and bottom base layer sizes are the same. Depending on your build, you might need a different size for each. So instead of buying a matching set, I'd recommend getting them separately. And as always, if you want to save some cash, big box stores sell plenty of budget-friendly winter base layers that will do just fine. For all the same reasons I mentioned earlier, fleece is king for lower body insulation. And wouldn't you know it, there's a perfect ECWCS piece for the job, the polyester underwear bottoms. Now technically these are labeled as a base layer, but I use them as insulation over my waffle bottoms. They do run slim, so you're going to want to size up. And if you're catching on to a pattern here, you already know what I'm about to say. You don't need these exact ones. Any slim or athletic cut polyester sweatpants will do the job just fine. If you've already got something like this at home and it isn't bright orange, it'll work in a pinch. Better to build your kit over time than to put yourself into debt chasing the perfect setup. You might have noticed that unlike the upper body system, I only use one insulation layer for my legs. Why? Because you still need to wear pants. I mean, you can skip pants if you really want to, but even if the shit hits the fan, I plan to keep wearing pants. So for my third layer, that's what we're talking about. When it comes to picking hiking or combat pants, I focus on comfort and ease of movement. And for my money, the best way to get both is through stretchy materials. I'll take a cheap pair of stretchy hiking pants over the stiff nylon cotton blends that you find in military issue combat pants every day of the week. Nyco is durable, but it doesn't stretch and it takes forever to dry. If you're out in the field for long hours, mobility matters more. In all fairness, some of the newer BDUs incorporate stretchy materials into the design, which does solve the problem somewhat. As a lifelong backpacker, I'm not entirely sold on any outdoors clothes with a high percentage of cotton, but I'm trying to let go of the conventional wisdom and give some of these military BDUs a fair shot. I've been wearing more cotton blend milsurp shirts, jackets, pants, and other stuff in recent months. I'll report my thoughts back to you in about a year. But I digress. Personally, I have these Helicon Tex outdoor tactical pants, and I like them a lot. But a cheap pair of Wrangler hiking pants from Walmart will do the job for just 20 or 25 bucks. And one final thought on pants. Since pants are almost always your outer layer, they're a good place to invest in your preferred camouflage. Now, I don't have rain bottoms for Garçon here, but everything that I said about shell layers on top, the same applies here. When it comes to shell pants, there's one feature to look for: zippers or snaps near the hem. Why? So you can take them on and off without removing your boots. This makes a huge difference in the field when you don't have time to sit down, untie your laces, and wrestle your boots off just to swap a layer. If you've ever had to do that in sub-freezing temperatures, you already know it sucks. Now, remember, your shell isn't just for keeping out rain and snow, it also helps trap heat. If you're fully layered up and still cold, throwing on your shell pants can make a big difference. Just keep an eye on sweat buildup. If you overheat and start sweating, you're just trading one problem for another. As for what I use, I grabbed a cheap pair of waterproof breathable pants in multicam for about $20 online. You can spend a lot more for fancier options with better materials. But for how often I actually wear them, I'm good with what I got. Next up, we're talking accessories. All right, let's blast through some cold weather accessories, small items that make a big difference when the temperature drops. First, hats. The lightest, warmest thing in your pack should be a fleece watch cap. It's a simple, single-layer fleece hat with a double-layer band around the ears. Weighs nothing but holds heat like a champ. Want to level up from there? Get a waffle fleece hat. Stack it under your watch cap, and now you've got a furnace on your head. And if you're not really worried about the cold, a boonie hat or even a camo baseball cap helps conceal your noggin, especially for a shaved head white dude like me. Second, gloves. I always keep a pair of shooting gloves in my kit no matter the weather. Mechanics are everywhere, but I also like the ones from Helicon Tex, the same brand that makes my pants. These are not insulated, but they block the wind and they keep you from frying your hands on a hot handguard or suppressor. For frigid cold, layer up with fleece or insulated mittens. Just make sure they don't kill your dexterity. Look for a design that lets you free up your trigger finger when you need it. I had some nice fleece ones that I used for layering, but my cat pissed on them. As an alternative, I picked up these cheap German milsurp trigger finger gloves. They have a waterproof outer layer and a fleece inner layer. Insanely warm. I think I got them for 15 bucks. I don't even mess with these things until it gets below 30 degrees. Third, neck gaiter or balaclava. Fleece, waffle grid, woven wool, your call. It seals the heat from escaping through your neck and face, and if necessary, helps you keep a low profile. You know, for anything you might need to keep a low profile for. Fourth, boots and socks. Boots are personal. One person's perfect boot is another person's blister factory. That said, for cold weather, you need waterproof, breathable hiking boots with ankle support and padding. They don't need to be heavy, but ultralight mesh trail runners aren't going to cut it when it's sub-freezing. Downside? Waterproof boots take forever to dry once they get wet. But it's better to deal with slow-drying boots than to have cold feet for the entire duration of your patrol. This is actually something I need to pick up for myself. I finally wore out my waterproof boots this past winter, and I haven't replaced them yet. I've been really loving my lightweight, breathable Garmont combat boots, so I'll probably pick up a pair of their waterproof combat boots for this winter. For socks, go with a wool blend hiking sock. Cheap multi-packs of hiking socks work fine, but if you want the best hiking socks in the world, get Darn Tough brand socks. They're expensive, but they last for years, stay comfortable, and handle heavy use like nothing else. This is my one straight up recommendation in this video, because there's really nothing better. Here are a few more considerations you need to take for your entire clothing system. First, camouflage. The more camo in your kit, the better. If your camo pattern even roughly matches your environment, it breaks up your outline and makes you harder to spot. You won't be invisible, but you can make it slightly harder for an enemy to see you, and that could save your life in a bad situation. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If it's not camo, it needs to be an earth tone. Bright colors like yellow, white, and orange are obvious no-goes. But let's talk about black. A lot of people default to black because it feels tactical. But here's the thing. Outside of shadows, there's almost no true black in nature. So solid black gear often stands out, especially in wooded or open terrain. If it's one color among many in your camo pattern, that's one thing. But avoid solid black shirts and solid black chest rigs, for example. Now, all of this applies to visible light, what the human eye sees. But depending on when you watch this video, it's 2025 or later, and technology has made staying hidden a lot more complicated. So let's talk about night vision and thermal. Analog night vision is like a toilet paper roll filled with black magic. It amplifies light and delivers a high-resolution image directly to your eyeball in real time with no latency. It's expensive, but it's the closest thing to a superpower that money can buy. With it, you can see in the dark. Now, let's talk about camo under night vision. Some fabrics and dyes maintain their camouflage properties when viewed through night vision. One term companies throw around for this is NIR compliant. But most affordable camo stuff you find online, not so much. These layers and accessories can sometimes glow under infrared-assisted night vision. Seriously, I've seen camo that looks fine in daylight turn into high-vis reflective material under digital night vision in particular. And then there's thermal. If someone's scanning for heat signatures, your camo doesn't mean anything. The only way to beat thermal is to put a barrier between your body heat and the infrared sensor trying to find you. That's a whole separate problem for a whole different video, but if you're serious about staying hidden, it's something you'll eventually need to figure out. Alright, now let's talk about some takeaways. So how much does a solid cold weather layering system cost? Well, it could be anywhere from $50,000 to $5,000. Helpful, right? Well, if we're talking realistic numbers based on what I've covered here, you can put together a budget-friendly setup for around $200, assuming you already have a few basics in your closet. If you want something a little more premium with more camo and better quality materials, $500 to $800 is a good ballpark, depending on your needs and how much you hunt for deals. Now, where do you find all this gear? Your local military surplus store. Any good milsurp shop will have waffle grid thermals, fleece, jackets, hats, you name it, start there. If you're building your system from scratch, start with your base layers and work your way out. That way, every layer fits properly over the next, with no weird tight spots or loose areas where cold air can creep in. And you don't have to buy everything at once. I built my kit over the past year plus. I only picked up these pants within the last month or two, and I've been rocking these base layers all through 2024. It's better to take your time and get quality gear than to waste money on trash you'll end up replacing, or worse, go into credit card debt over. Alright, this video is already way too long, but hopefully some of you got some value out of it. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Until next time, take care of each other.
Really push it back.
They really need to do something about this left-wing violence.
Three more.